This list should probably be familiar to many of you. It's a list of the most populous countries in the world, and it starts with China, India, the United States, and Indonesia. Just from this list alone, one can get the impression that China and India have an extreme number of people. But when comparing numbers that large, it is often difficult to mentally grasp the sizes and to better feel the magnitude of these figures. So what I'm offering today is 4 perspectives from which to internalize the degree to which China's and India's populations are larger than those of other countries, 4 observations to point out the colossal difference in sizes. Welcome to TwoLambdaPlusBlack. I am Heiru. For our first perspective, we're actually not even going to wander off of this list. You can see here that after China and India, the next populous country in the world is the United States, having 329 million people. Now here's the fact to reflect on. If the United States suddenly gained 1 billion people, it would still rank 3rd in population. That would quadruple the population of the United States, but still not cause it to have as many people as India. Our second perspective concerns just India. Most people know that the majority of Indians are Hindus, but that there is a small minority of Muslims. How large is this minority? Well, from the perspective of India, it is just 14% of the population. But from the perspective of the world, this small minority is large enough such that among the world's countries, India has the 3rd largest total Muslim population, after Indonesia and Pakistan. There's actually more Muslims living in India than in Bangladesh, and more generally, there are dozens of majority Muslim countries in the world with far fewer Muslims than India. In fact, India has more Muslims than the entire Arabian Peninsula. That's right, there's more Muslims here than here. Twice as many, actually. India is so populous that its minorities dwarf majorities in other countries. Next, let's consider the populations of the political subdivisions of China and India. It turns out that the provinces of China and the states of India are large enough to be countries in most parts of the world. As an example, this is a chart of the most populous Chinese provinces, Indian states, and EU countries. Germany is the most populous country of the EU, yet both China and India have several administrative divisions more populous than Germany. The most populous Indian state, Uttar Pradesh, is large enough to be the world's 5th most populous country if it decided to split from India and become its own country. And then, of course, after it left, India would still be the 2nd most populous country in the world by a long shot. You could in fact see in this chart that if I truly align the populations together, my list of EU countries would actually start at the bottom of this page, and not here. Finally, we've compared Indian states and Chinese provinces to countries. Now let's compare the countries themselves to continents. Let's take a standard 7-continent model and imagine that China and India became their own continents. How would Earth's continents rank in population then? Like this. Most populous would be the rest of Asia, then China, then India, and only then Africa. Both Americas together would still be hundreds of millions short of India's population. China and India have populations that surpass the populations of any non-Asian continent, at least as of now. With current demographics trends, it won't be long before China and India have lower populations than Africa, and then they'd have to settle for only having the population of an average continent. I hope this video helped you grasp the magnitude of China's and India's large populations. If you enjoyed this video, please check out the other TwoLambdaPlusBlack videos, and consider throwing me a few bucks over on Patreon, link in the description. Otherwise, see you next time, and remember to love the night.